Enabling youth, setting the bar straight. Special needs doesn't mean privilege. Using the term disability tells us all that there is nothing wrong with the disabled person. It is a term and identifier which tells us instead that there is something wrong with the rest of us for not meeting everyone's needs equitably. This quote is important because it identifies the importance of teachers understanding their methods of teaching to make their classroom appropriate for all students. It's also important that we put this text at the beginning of our infographic because it defines what disability is, like we did in our class. Why people with disabilities should have freedom of education. We have severely disabled people, hundreds living scattered around the community. People with disabilities are integrated socially and as well economically into the city. Anyone who wants to and needs a little help can live in the community, not in an institution. This is a reminder from Ed Roberts, the first student with a disability to attend UC Berkeley. Promoting intersectionality is seen within these quotes because it shows that there are common responsibilities between both people with disabilities, such as Ed Roberts' experiences and his perspectives of people with disabilities, and teachers or other general people in the public who don't have a disability. It adds on to the perspective of why it's important that people with disabilities receive education. Government 101. The IDA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, ensures students with disabilities are provided with the appropriate education. This is an important legislation to identify because it is relevant to the work of teachers because they work in the education setting. So this policy is related to their work. Therefore, steps they can use to create an inclusive classroom and follow the IDEA Act is by step 1, understand and accept disability, establish goals that don't conflict with disabilities, explore and use new strengths and with disabilities. Knowing the stages are important for teachers because it helps them transform their actions to be more inclusive and help them start becoming actively engaged in identifying what is disabling a person and what is not, so everyone can work in a classroom that they're able to work in with no challenges. And then you can start the self-determination stuff.
Okay. Self-determination. The attitudes and abilities required to act as the primary causal agent in one's life and to make choices regarding one's actions free from undue external influence or interference. A teacher's role. Number 1, decision-making, freedom of choice. Number 2, high expectations, allowing challenge. Number 3, involvement in active child. Using information from a credible scholarly UW source rather than news outlets confirm the reliability of information. And by having a call to action, we are helping teachers to take the first steps to promote an appropriate classroom environment for all students rather than taking away opportunities for those with disabilities. And active discrimination. Being disabled for many of us means the end of any hopes of pursuing an education. The system is thoroughly broken, such that our dropout rates are some of the highest in any marginalized community, and our educational attainment rates are similarly problematic. Responsibility falls on the disabled student to self-advocate and persevere. Statistics are from words from a person who has disabilities. So the infographic isn't preaching for people with disabilities, but people with disabilities can offer stories that can connect to a reader's emotion and question a person's moral judgment. Did you know, according to data collected by the National Center for Education Statistics, 7 million disabled students ages 3 to 21 under Individuals with Disabilities Education Act in the U.S. make up 14% of national public school enrollment, according to a group of students assessed in the school year 2017 through 18. And the rate of people with disabilities has increased from 11% after 20 years. Statistics are from a national database which makes the statistics credible, which helps improve the credibility of our claim with the source who most likely will be familiar to teachers and to help teachers put in perspective how relevant the issue is with the use of quantum information. The information, as well as the information about the growth of the disability population, reinforces an urge to make a change by making classrooms more inclusive because of the increasing abundance of students with disabilities.